blazing so bright, calling the fight from the ancient lands. We stand from dawn to twilight, the empires rise and conquer. In the wild face of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath, each dawn it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine, fear lurks beyond the edge of sight. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos will sharpen your knife, make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine, can both recall is scattered. In the wild town of wardrobes, tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs, the carriers may bug you down. Set up for the swiftest ride, sneaky Texas work as your best alive. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the ancient lands, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary.
Hello, governors. Welcome to the 2024 Grand Prix lower bracket round one. I'm your host, Plato Gaming caster and content creator. And casting alongside me today is our fellow longtime Rise of Kingdoms content creator and Osiris League caster, Redline. Glad to be casting alongside with you again, man.
Plato, how you doing, buddy? Glad to be here. Appreciate you all being here. What's up, chat? Been a long time coming. Excited to be doing this match with Plato again. And looking forward to what's coming, man. How are you feeling about the upcoming match today?
Yeah, it should be a couple of fun matches because we are watching the Grand Prix, the pinnacle of competitive Osiris League, where the best of the best teams from both the international server and the Chinese server get to compete to prove themselves as the best Osiris League team in the world. And today, we are casting the lower bracket, meaning that these teams are in a win or go home scenario. And the first match that we are casting today is Beer versus S96S. Beer are one of the international server qualifier teams, while their opponents S96S are one of the Chinese qualifier teams. So will Beer be able to knock out S96S and continue their lower bracket run, or will S96S do so instead? Redline, what are you thinking about this matchup? International versus Chinese server in the lower bracket here.
Ah, man, the two great teams. Unfortunately, they were knocked both from the upper bracket last week. And I'm going to tell you, man, like looking at these two teams, I have no idea. But deep down inside me, I'm rooting for international server. I'm hoping Beer pulls one out of this. Because I believe there's no more international teams in the upper bracket. So we got to represent Plato. I feel like we got to represent here. But these two teams going head to head right now, I mean, it's going to be a close one. They both did really well in the arc game on their last matches. Unfortunately, they both struggle within occupation. So they both teams really need to really focus in on and secure those buildings in order for them to move it forward. Because like you said, it's go big or go home, and I'm rooting for the best for both of these teams.
It is going to be a tough run through this lower bracket for sure. Beer, definitely from the international server, trying to represent, as you said, no one is left in the international server in the upper bracket. So the Chinese server has been running through this tournament so far, but we'll see if the international servers in this lower bracket can start making their run, starting off with Beer. As you were talking about, though, it has been a pretty similar game with these two teams, where these two teams kind of having this mid-focus, winning in arcs, but losing in occupation. We'll have to see if that will translate today as well. And if both of these teams are arc focused, which team will be able to come out on top? I will say, though, arcs and structures have not really been the meta in this Grand Prix. It has been gathering. There has been so many gatherers. I counted 20 gatherers out for one of the Chinese server teams. So we'll have to see if both of these teams, which one can provision more and provision better, because I feel like that will also come into play.
I completely agree with you. Like, I think the most recent match that I watched, I think it was like 748, I believe was that match. Like, there was like a 6K provision score. And like you said, I feel like these teams will both have, you know, an even arc mid-game fight for the arc. And then occupation, I think, will be very close. But I truly believe that the winner will be determined by provision, Plato. I think that's the name of the game right now. I think the last match that you casted, the Centurion popped up for the MVP. So I really think that we're going to consistently see that type of, you know, MVP play coming from these teams and going forward for the upcoming matches.
Centurion being the MVP, not something that you would have thought of. Gathering and farming usually looked down upon in Rise of Kingdoms. Gatherers in the Grand Prix, however, seem to be the heroes as we get into the match here.
It'll be a good one, man. Good luck to both teams. Looking forward to see what happens.
It should be a good match indeed. As we get into the game here, it is Beer in the top left corner. International server representing, starting to teleport in here. And it is S96S from the Chinese server in the bottom right corner. Man, this is going to be, you know, this being the first lower bracket rounds that we're watching, we're definitely going to see. I'm curious to see if both teams are going to pull off all the stops, you know, do the strategies that they've been practicing, maybe pull up some new strategies, or if they're going to be more cautious, because if they lose this game, they're going to lose. What do you think, Redline?
I honestly think, like, now that we're in, you know, we're moving forward along the tournament, I truly feel like a lot of the changes or fixes to the strategy are going to be mostly around the structures. Like, I feel like a lot of teams are playing catch up if they don't secure their buildings. Like, you've seen the last couple matches where, you know, top teams were losing was because of their structure game, right? The arc has always been a focus in previous tournaments, or has always been a focus in arc, but now, like, matching the timings, understanding like the movement of the opponent is just key here. Of like, okay, what do I need to do? And just while you're, like, you know, we're moving around Beer, shout out to Beer. There's some 1960 people in there, so I'm rooting for them. And being unbiased, of course, but I'm rooting for them a little bit. And plus, they're international server, man. So like, it's that in terms of like strategy, like you mentioned, I truly feel like it's going to be really just fixing and closing the gaps from what they've experienced the last couple matches.
This should be a good one. It is win or go home. The winners, though, will still be in the lower brackets, and they will be versing 748W, who had a close match against tournament favorites GY16. So it's not exactly the easiest run in this lower bracket for the winner, but it is yet another chance. If Beer were to win, it would be a rematch of the first round of the upper bracket. S96S have not versed 748W as of yet, so that would be a new matchup. But Beer essentially is fighting for a rematch, while S96S is fighting for their tournament lives. Win or go home. Will they be able to clutch up? Will it be one arc carrier being able to pull it off? Will it be a strategy, a master strategy steal of the arc? Or will it be a provisioner, a centurion bringing it home? We have 10 seconds before all that excitement starts. Redline, do you expect anything different from these two teams for these openers? What are we going to be seeing when these gates drop?
No, I don't think so. I feel like a lot of teams are going to stick to their opening strategies. You're at that point in the gauntlet, like as you said, in the lower bracket, right? Like right now, 748 is watching this from the locker room, kind of understand, okay, who are we playing next, right? So like I really think that the opening will literally be similar to what we've seen before. It's just going to be now around how each of the teams are shifting their marches and kind of throwing the enemy off in terms of, okay, am I focusing on structures? Are we going mid? Like, I really think that's what we're going to see here. It's the last 10-15 minutes I'm really interested to see what happens with the 25 plus provisioners that might be coming out.
25 plus provisioners just looking for any caravan that is out on the deserts of Osiris. As we see, there you go, we have 4 obelisk rallies. This last obelisk rally on the top side being delayed. 3 obelisk rallies coming out from Beer. Looks like they're going to be at least, it's only 1 offensive obelisk rally in this bottom side obelisk of S96S. We could go ahead and look at the sentries. Mirrored sentries from both teams. Only 1 sentry placed so far in front of the Shrine of War, looking for their opponent's desert altar approach here. I will say the Chinese server seems to really put a lot of emphasis into the inner lanes compared to the international server teams, where there has been a meta where you focus these outer lane structures. I think the Chinese server teams, they really stack the inner lanes, wipe that inner lane resistance from their opponents, and then rotate out to the outer lanes.
Yeah, looking at the map, like very similar strategy, right? They're both focusing on the inner lanes here. We're about to see a clash in the next 15-20 seconds or so. So not much of a difference in terms of strategy, Paul, that I'm seeing like across here. Obelisk captures are all the same, so timings are like pretty much completely mirrored, like you said. So it's going to come down to like who's going to take the field and get these first occupations.
You could see that the sentries getting all the information they need. You see Beer that sees all of the units going into their desert altar, and that is also mirrored in S96S. I will say though, there are less units from Beer going towards this desert altar compared to the units from S96S going to Beer's desert altar. Beer looking like they have kind of this, usually you see 2 streams of troops. There's like this middle ground here where their troops walking towards the obelisk, perhaps?
What do we got here? Do you think what I'm thinking? Is this gonna be an obelisk play?
Maybe this is a flex where if you're in the center, you could either go into the inner lane or the outer lane, depending on the amount of units that S96S has in those 2 lanes. S96S, though, with their sentry, have a full vision of this little contingent of troops. So I'm not exactly too sure what the plan is. Perhaps it was a feint into an obelisk play, but now they are starting to reconvene with their inner lane murder ball. Some of them are shifting out to this outer lane though, so it did look like these middle troops were kind of flex troops that could go into the inner lane or the outer lane depending on the amount of marches for both sides. All the murder balls though are starting to merge here. The top desert altar looks like it's about to explode. Both teams just staring at each other with 70 seconds left on this desert altar before it is capturable. Who do you think is going to win the initial desert altar fights, Redline?
I think that it's going to be pretty even. I feel like after these fights here, it should be an even occupation across both teams. So I feel like because the timings are perfect on both sides, right? Both sides are playing very defensive in terms of their own specific structures, and now it's going to come down to who wins these open field fights. But I really think, based on how the map is looking, it should be even across, unless one of these teams get a sneaky march and touch it first. So from what I've seen so far, I think it'll be pretty even.
It does look like this murder ball is pretty even, as you were talking about. The sad faces coming out from both sides. Although I will say, S96S, there was a cluster of murder balls. That must have been a Zhuge Liang AoE just clearing some of these marches here. And it does look like the Desert Altar defense for Beer will be successful. If you go into dot mode here, you have a clearer picture with all of the blue dots surrounding the red dots. Outer lane looks like a pretty similar situation. The Sky Altar will be aggressed. Beer was able to get the first tap in the Sky Altar. I do not know if they have a garrison for the Sky Altar, but at least denying the first garrison there from S96S, delaying the capture by a couple seconds here. If we look at the rest of the map, it is 4 altars first capped to none from Beer. So extremely impressive from Beer. Even though the Sky Altar was eventually recaptured, it is a little bit delayed. If we go to the Desert Altar, looks like they did get an outer garrison there as well, but S96S able to stabilize their altars a little bit there. So a good play from Beer, but it should stabilize for both teams.
That was impressive that they were able to get those marches because of, you know, how S96 was, you know, set up. I didn't expect them to at least get into all 4 altars that easily. So it's interesting to see, but timing, again, I feel like what was key there, but I don't really see it as a huge impact. Maybe a few seconds in advance of Beer, but, you know, things are going to stabilize and we're going to see a lot of back and forth in this match based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Beer was able to get to the Desert Altar. Seeing the murder ball of S96S that was in front of the Desert Altar, that is now encroaching into Beer's Sky Altar. They're able to get a garrison in there, Redline. I'm not exactly too sure how that garrison slipped into the Desert Altar, got first tap. It shouldn't matter though. They will be about 30 seconds behind in first occupation, first capture, but it shouldn't matter too much for this first arc mid timing. The arc is going to be spawning in 5 minutes, 30 seconds. It looks like these S96S marches are trying to pressure the altar, but more likely they are just trying to sad face so that they could have a good mid rotation.
Exactly. That is exactly what it is. A lot of times in this first, like, you know, fight for the first occupation, during those fights, most people just retreat like back to the cities because of the distance. But here, you know, S96 is like, you know what? Everybody smash your troops into this building. And again, it could give them the advantage in terms of like getting to the middle. Now, are both teams going to focus on this first arc? Maybe, but I like what they're doing here from the S96 side.
Yeah, I mean, it does make it a little awkward for Beer because the marches that are now swarming down the marches attacking the Sky Altar, the defensive marches here are going to be pretty low. You can see like the Yellow Health cavalry marches, the Joan of Arc, the Huaki Bing. They probably won't be able to sad face on this S96S. At least S96S should actually keep them alive because they will either have to take the Walk of Shame, which is a way slower refresh timer than sad facing, or they will have to attack and aggress onto Shrine of Life or a Desert Altar, and that will make them late for mid. As we talked about before the match started, both of these teams getting that first arc in their first game here. I'm expecting pretty heavy mid contention for this first arc for both teams as well.
Yeah, I agree, but now I'm curious though, because we have 4 minutes until the arc spawns, right? And this outer lane for the Sky Altar on the Beer side, right? They're gonna be super late technically, because now if they have to refresh or they're gonna just send everybody mid. But that's the thing, like now they have to make a decision. Whatever's happening in Discord right now, like are they gonna go everybody shift mid, or I think focus on structures, and now they're probably figuring that out right now. But based on what we just saw, it looks like S96 is going heavy for the middle, and is Beer going to counter that?
Yeah, I mean, Beer looks like they were able to flip the outer lane Sky Altar of S96S. They do have a Heraclius garrison in there as well. And the thing is, Redline, this Sky Altar has not claimed first occupation points. You could tell because the timer is at 3 minutes when it flips instead of the standard 2 minutes. Meaning that there's 750 points up for grabs in this top Sky Altar. It looks like, though, S96S will be able to secure this. But as you were talking about the defense of the Sky Altar in the bottom side for Beer, the defense on the top side Sky Altar for S96S, all these marches are going to be slow to this mid rotation. So the real question is, do they rotate mid? Looks like the answer is no, and they're starting to approach this Shrine of Life in this top side.
So it's kind of an offset plotter, right? If the beer on the bottom Sky Altar, I think are not shifting mid, which maybe actually looks like they are. So based on that, if the top side S96 people, they're on the offensive for the occupation, Beer might have the advantage here if they're shifting everybody to mid, and which looks like they are, even though the lane and Sky Altar is not holding defensive, they're going mid, man. So I think that it's looking really good in terms of what I'm seeing right here on the map for Beer in terms of the number of players in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, Beer definitely having that tempo advantage with that Sky Altar attack. And I think that really has to do with their initial Sky Altar flip in the beginning, because they're able to get that first tap. It delayed the Sky Altar from being captured, getting that first occupation, allowing them to re-attack it and attack it again so that I could flip again, making S96S have to send marches out there. And now S96S have a bunch of marches in the Shrine of Life. They were able to swarm down the Shrine of Life. But will this cost them in this mid fight? Because this is a solid 10 marches, 15 marches out in this top side of the map that will not be in time for mid. It does look like S96S is taking this omnipresent approach, where they're trying to take structures with as little troops as possible while also contesting mid. Meanwhile, Beer is going the classic international route, everyone all in mid.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here. And we just saw a little earlier, right? We have a couple marches on the S96 side going towards the bottom Sky Altar. So, you know, are they going to be able to take advantage of this? Because right now, like you said, it looks like Beer's putting everybody all in. You know, so there definitely could be something.
Oh, sneaky tactics used, but Desert Storm used in response. For those that do not know, Desert Storm directly counter sneaky tactics, taking away the invisibility that sneaky tactics provides. So Beer having a direct response for this mid fight, taking away the shroud of sneaky tactics. Will this be enough to win them the mid fight though? It looks like both murder balls want to engage, and now the engagement has started. It looks like only sneaky tactics. Oh, there you go. To the death used by S96S. To the death in response by Beer. So to the death, first arc from both teams here. This has been the meta that's been developing, Redline, because if you do not respond with to the death, sometimes the other team just goes full structures and you'll never have a chance to use to the death for a mid fight. Arc has spawned though. Who will get first pull? It is Beer. Belisarius Prime running away with the Arc.
Oh, he's untouched. He's untouched, Plato here. Like, this is a great pull on the side of Beer, right? And it looks like we said earlier, right? The screen's all blue, and that's what I'm looking at. So I think Beer responded great with the 2 to death, and like you mentioned, that was a perfect play by them to counter what S96 did. And this looks like an arc on the side of Beer side. Now, but look at the map now. It looks like all 4 altars are in the position of S96.
Mm-hmm. Desert Altar was taken, Sky Altar was taken. So those few marches that were not in middle were successful in flipping the structures. The question now is, how long can S96S hold on to these altars, and will it be worth the 3k points that they gave up in this arc?
Another question for you, Plato. Is Beer holding on to this?
That is a good question. I think they'll probably make it a 3 arc game, hold on to it for a little bit, stabilize their structures, because Arc of Osiris League is a pendulum. You want to make sure that you capture this arc when you are in the upswing so that you can have that momentum going into a mid fight. I think they'll probably take back their Desert Altar, they'll probably take back their Sky Altar, go on the offensive, and then in the middle of that offensive try to capture the arc so that they have perhaps 2 cycles of attacks before they have to rotate mid, get S96S out of their timer, out of their tempo. But
exactly,
yeah, we'll have to see how Beer decides to play it, because they do have the opportunity to pull off a Chinese server tactic, which is to hold for 2 arcs, and in this time take back your structures and just provision with 15-20 marches Hope that'll be enough. They have options because they were able to win that first arc.
Exactly. Right now they have the advantage of kind of dictating how the match is. Like right now they're stabilizing, which is great. Trying to minimize as much damage from losing those structures, and can really kind of maintain the momentum. So hopefully they can do that here by winning that first mid fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Beer decides to play this. They have options. I think they have to commit to one or the other. It does look like they are aggressing on the enemy Desert Altar though, so not stabilizing structures, but rather trading structures, perhaps indicating that they are looking for more than just their own structures. We see the Eleanor Garrison holding on for dear life, but no reinforcements could come close. This is how dominant that mid fight was, Redline. The fact that there are this many Beer marches around this Desert Altar, it kind of looks like a massacre, with the marches coming in one by one from S96S. This is a mid team, marches from mid that have already fought, but they still have open field control around this Desert Altar, and I do not think, I mean, reinforcements are scrambling to this Desert Altar. There aren't actually 12 marches swarming it down, but it still goes down for Beer. So a good flip, and it looks like they are aggressing to take back their Sky Altar as well.
That was a great flip. And right now, based on like you said, based on the amount of marches that Beer has at that altar, and they were able to pop a rally at the same time, they can hold on to this for a long while. Like those marches can definitely, maintain that presence for a few minutes. Well, I think it's going to see here, because look at all S96 marches are coming in one by one, which they should probably ball up together trying to wipe this out. But right now, Beer has the advantage on this altar specifically, and have the advantage of scoring that arc, stabilizing, even getting some extra points off these altars they obtained.
Yeah, they are 2 altars to 2. The points still going to S96S, but not by much, only by 90 points per minute. That is with the Sky Altar still in the hands of S96S, which should be taken back from Beer. I will say so far in the structure game, it does look like Beer has been ahead, except for when they went mid. But when they go head to head with S96S, I feel like Beer has been a lot more coordinated and has actually been able to take structures from S96S.
Yeah, I agree. But right now, it looks like, again, it's like scrambling. I think S96 could have done a lot more damage on the structures, right out the gate. But I feel like with that mid fight, like Beer just had too many standing marches from that fight, where they were able to kind of flex and then, kind of focus on getting the structures back and taking their S96 structure. So I feel like Beer won this overall from this first arc fight, because usually when you lose the first arc, right, you focus up on structures and they kind of minimize the amount of points that they get from scoring that arc. I feel like right now Beer just is really taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, the Desert Altar, the Desert Altar of S96S, the home Desert Altar, will get taken back, as that middle murder ball has finally been sad-faced, but Beer will trade the Desert Altar for their home Sky Altar. So honestly, it is a pretty even handshake trade from both teams, and now all of the structures are even. Beer is down by about 2k points, but they have 3k in the bank with the arc in hand, so overall being up by about 1k in true score.
And they scored the arc. So yeah, this could be a 3 arc game, Plato. It's gonna come down to the arc and provisions. That's what I'm seeing here, buddy.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to provisions, Plato. I'm calling it right now. It's coming down to provisions here.
Beer did capture the air. Okay, so it's Beer that's up by 2k. Yeah,
Yep.
So they are up by 2k with the overall play here. They do have a couple provisioners out there too. They have 1, 2, 3 provisioners, compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 provisioners coming up from S96S. So I believe both teams have been watching the other top teams that are still in the upper bracket and saw that they pretty much won solely off provisions and holding their own structures while contesting mid. S96S definitely over-indexing, or indexing more compared to Beer in that gathering. We'll have to see if that'll pay off or if that will actually hinder them for this next mid fight, which will be happening in about 7 minutes here.
And kind of talking about the provisioning, so last match, Beer scored about 3K worth of provisions, and then S96 did about 2K. So I really think they're going to be focusing on that because, as you mentioned, the last few matches, like it was all decided by those provisions. Because at the end of the day, you know, Occupation and Arc, I feel like both teams or all teams within this tournament are kind of, you know, at that elite level of, you know, of those strategies. But then when it comes down to provisions, it's the game changer.
Yeah. I mean, this game is still in anyone's hands. Beer looks like they have pretty decent control over it, though. Being up by about 2K points, they have been able to flip the structures compared to S96S, where they've been able to just hold their own structures, flip S96S's structures. That could be shown in Occupation, even though they gave up 4 altars at one point. They're only down by 1K in Occupations. That's because when they go straight up, they've been able to hold on against S96S's assaults. It'll really come down to the provisions, but also the second mid fight. I'm going to be curious to see how much S96S goes into the second mid fight and if Beer decides to as well, because Beer kind of has that flexibility where they can decide to go structures if they want to.
Exactly. But I really think that Beer is also going to try to go for every single arc here, because that mid fight here, like, you know, they dominated that mid fight. So why not continue that? And then as you can see, it looks like S96 is starting to have people going to mid. So we're probably going to see a fight here in the next minute or so.
This is the earliest mid rotation I've seen from a Chinese server team. Redline, usually the Chinese server teams, they keep fighting and aggressing on structures until maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and then start rotating mid. We've seen murder balls gather up as the arc spawns. So a pretty early rotation from S96S. The real question is, will that pay off for them? Will they be able to get control of this mid area because of that? And will they be able to hold their structures while people are rotating mid? It looks like the answer is no, because the desert altar for them just fell.
Yeah, exactly. That's my concern here too, right? Because every time you send people to the middle, right, you lose those marches defending your structures right here. And it looks like the timing, I feel like, is a little off from S96, because while those marches are going mid, Beer was just going heavy on these structures, right? If you look on the map here, like on the top side, both structures are blinking. So like, did Beer catch the right time? Because right now, S96 marches, they're just standing there, Plato. Yeah. They're just standing there. So I don't know if that was the right play. I mean, they definitely have to fight for this arc, but, you know, at what cost? In terms of timing and shifting your guys to the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it is looking... It's rough, right? Because usually you want to play a defensive style if you're going to be provisioning this much. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 provisioners out there in the open field compared to the 3 of Beer. But if you have that many provisioners, you should try to play defensive here. Meanwhile, they are going for this early mid rotation. Now Beer's starting, after Beer flipped the desert altar, now they're starting to rotate middle, and they actually have more marches middle than S96S. S96S had to respond to the desert altar take. The desert altar was retaken with this many marches around from S96S is kind of inexcusable. A Joan of Arc somehow flipping the structure for Beer yet again, and that has been the name of the game for Beer this match. They've been able to find the angles, find the structures when they should have no business flipping a structure. Shrine of War was also flipped as well. So now all the sad face marches that was attacking the desert altar, attacking the sky altar, attacking the Shrine of War are rotating middle, and they actually have the tempo advantage for this middle rotation, even though S96S showed their presence first.
And I'm looking at the map here, right? Like Beer's having an insane amount of presence in the middle. If you look at the bottom side, S96 have still the marches in both lanes. I'm wondering what they're focusing on now. Are they going to shift to the middle? It looks like they're going for the Sky Altar on the bottom side, and the Desert Altar on the top side. So, do they have maybe split teams? Like, hey, this X amount of people are fighting the mid, and everybody else goes structures. Like, I'm just really curious of what their play is here.
Yeah, this is perhaps seeing that they're behind in tempo. They're like, okay, let's trade this middle pressure and let's try to go for these altars. But we saw what happened in that first arc fight, that first middle fight, where they were able to get 4 altars, yes, but they didn't hold them for long enough to make it worth. They're still down by about 2k. The lead has been pretty stagnant, but There's a 3.5k arc waiting in the middle here, but S96S indexing super heavily into these altars. The Sky Altar looks like it is about to go down, but there are a lot of reinforcement marches coming in from Beer. All they gotta do is keep this topped up. S96S popping Dust Up to help with that Sky Altar assault. Dust Up in response by Beer. This is going to be a huge hold if Beer's able to do it, and they do have a backup garrison coming in. Will they be able to get in time? They were able to get in. They were able to fill the Sky Altar. What a clutch defense from Beer so far. The rally is down as well. Will they have enough reinforcements for this Sky Altar?
Oh, that micromanaging of shifting your marches in and out, like that level is just great to see. Kudos to Beard for holding that in. S96 is going hard on this. Instruction, I'm just surprised it's still holding, Plato.
Beer is putting on the kicks, putting on the Nikes here. They got the double C's, they got the Belisariuses running, sprinting for the structure. It looks like it should have gone down 2 minutes ago. It's still alive somehow. You could see that they're doing this circle of death, trying to fill this structure desperately. The garrison should be knocked out soon, but it is still alive. This structure is still alive somehow. Eleanor holding on for dear life. The marches from S96S are getting sad face on the structure as the reinforcements continue to pour in. This is an absolutely huge hold from Beer. The garrison was knocked out though. There is a CPO Prime in there. They're still garrisoning the CPO Prime. It has
Beer with the counterattack damage.
Finally gone down. But what a huge delay from Beer.
Great hold.
Ultimately, they were thwarted. The arc has spawned, but there was barely any mid-fight to be had because S96S put everything into the Sky Altar, put everything into the Desert Altar. How will Beer respond to both of their altars being taken yet again for a second mid-fight in a row? Looks like they are going up towards the Desert Altar in this top side.
It's all red, Plato. See, so it looks like S96 focused on full structures there. They need to capitalize. Okay, they're locked down 2 arcs now. They have to hold these and really make it a difference. And so far, what I'm saying, they're doing that because there's only one building left, one altar left on the side of Beer.
You can see the Sky Altar is starting to be taken back. People are asking for the battle report from that. This is what the battle report looks like. It is... Oh, there you go. This is the battle report. You could see the KP going heavily towards the Swarmers, but they were able to hold it for quite some time. The Sky Altar, though, looking like it is about to go down. There is a forward garrison, though, that is about to come through, but they did not come in time. Beer able to retake their Sky Altar, and that spells disaster for S96S that gave up a second arc for free so that they could get control of these altars. But these altars are flipping too fast to make it worth it for them.
Yeah, that's the problem because the looks like on the side of Beer, their marches were barely touched, right? They're still coming hot with full marches, so they have the chance to kind of stabilize and then minimize the amount of loss they have because they're about to score this next arc and they're going to see a nice cushion before the next one.
I will say there are 6 marches from S96S around the arc. I don't think they'll be able to steal it, but it is not a completely clean pull as of yet. But the Beer was able to retake their altars, which is absolutely huge. They are now approaching the Shrine of Life. So they're starting to retake the structures that were taken by S96S. S96S actually resetting the timer on this arc. I don't think that'll matter too much.
No.
But
no, not at all.
Looks like Beer is able to take back this arc. They will be able to take it back to their obelisk. And now this will be a repeat of the first arc. This is Deja Vu Redline, where S96S went buildings, Beer went mid, Beer cleared mid, got a free mid fight, and now with their mid marches are running rampant throughout the map, having 3 altars to the 1 of S96S.
Yeah, I mean, like as you mentioned, right? Like if they were going to lose those arcs, they have to make up those points through occupation. And I feel like they were successful in kind of flipping them, but maintaining them is just not there. So I feel like they're it's like a hole, if that makes sense. Like they're not filling it enough.
Yeah, I mean, they have lowered the points per minute of Beer to 40 points per minute to 550, but the Desert Ultra will start generating points. The Sky Ultra has just started generating points. They will be able to stabilize their structures pretty fast here, and with 3.5k in the bank, Beer should be in a pretty comfortable position with where they're at. S96S, though, perhaps they're saying, okay, let's flip these structures. We believe in our provisioners to come clutch. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 provisioners out in the open field compared to the 3 from Beer. So perhaps they're saying, let's just lower the amount of points as possible. But Beer, seeing that, did capture the arc. So there will be a pretty fast third arc and perhaps even a fourth arc here, Redline.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. There could be a fourth arc. But looking at the map too, right? Like the outpost, I know they only generate 30 points per minute, right? But S96 has been like literally flipping those things back and forth all match. I feel like it's just like those little things, like literally they're generating now what 90 points on the side of S96. Like all those little points will matter. So they're definitely heavily focusing on the structure game and trying to maintain that, man. So the provisioning, I think, will be the deciding factor here.
Beer seeing that provisioning is a strategy from S96S. They have one March just harassing provisioners out there. They decided to pull the trigger on capturing the arc, saying, hey, if they don't want to go mid, we'll just have more mid fights. We'll just have more arcs. Beer, I feel like capturing that arc was absolutely huge for them, because you could tell that S96S are just trying to flip these structures. They're just trying to make sure Beer generates as little points as possible so that they can make up the difference in that second arc with gathering rather. Beer saying, okay, well, we're just gonna add more points to the game by forcing a fourth arc.
Yeah, like and looking at the occupation score of both teams, right? There's a slight gap, all right, between Beer and S96, but just by like 3k points, so it's not enough to offset the arcs, right? So like, Beer knows where to focus on, which is, hey, we're doing well in the mid. We're gonna keep doing mid and getting 4 arcs, because if they keep maintain that occupation score against S96, they're gonna come out the victors here.
There's been this meta, it's kind of a rock paper scissors, right, where some people want to go arc focused. What other teams would do to counter it would be to the death first arc, try to delay it as much as possible, and then win off provisions. The counter to that provision hold your own structures game is win mid fights and just capture the arc as fast as possible, which is what Beer is doing right now. S96S wants to just make a provisioner game, make the structures even. Beer saying, we're not going to allow that. We're not going to allow you to play in comfort. We're going to force these mid fights over and over and over again. I will say, though, the map state looking, as you said, it's looking pretty even, but those outposts rather do matter. Having through the 3 outposts of your opponents is actually worth more than 1 shrine. 90 points per minute compared to the 80 points per minute. And I think this game is actually going to come down to the wire. I think this game will come down to perhaps like 1k points, which can be made up from capturing these outposts throughout the match.
Yeah, it's little by little like that, Plotto. Like, every point matters, and I feel like S96 is doing everything they can to keep it that close, to possibly have provisioners in. And as we're saying that now, they're doing another early mid rotation. Now the question is, are they going to go all in, or are they going to focus heavily on structures again?
This is the risk of capturing the arc early, is if you don't win the third arc, which you pretty much forced upon yourself to come at this time, you're going to be in a really, really bad position. This arc is worth 4k. They're only up by 2.2, so they'll be down by 1.8k with S96S having more provisions, but they gambled on themselves. They gambled on their mid fights. Let's see if they're able to perform and able to secure the arc which they forced.
Man, those outposts are still red blood. To me, I'm like, that's just mind blowing. Like, literally 90 points per minute. Like, again, it's not a whole lot, but how close the match is, those matter. And I'm really curious to see what is Beer gonna do about that. They need to get those back.
It's not even only 90 points per minute. It's 90 points per minute. When you flip it, you take it away from your opponents. When you hold it, you gain for yourself. So it's actually 180 points per minute that is being given to S96S, which, I mean, if you look at how close this game is, pretty much the only difference in occupation are those outposts. Actually, that is the only difference. All the shrines, all the altars, all the obelisks are in the hands of their home owners. Man, Redline, this mid-fight, Beer looks like they've been in control of this game, but could quickly go south if they don't win this third arc, rather.
Yeah, this is all the name of the game right now for Beer. They need to continue strengthening their lead by going mid, because again, S96 is doing great in occupation, but they're just not holding it long enough to make it okay to cancel out those arcs. But those, again, I know it's so little, but the 180 points from the op house are definitely gonna be a huge factor when it comes down to the last few minutes of the match. Oh yeah, that call was made. Go mid. And to talk about that top lane that you're talking about, I mean, I just feel like with what a minute and a half left, like there's no point in them going mid. Like they're gonna be those last guys who show up to the club, you know, just like, oh, just got here, but it's like 2 more hours left, you know, before it closes. Yeah. So I really think that, you know, they stick to that lane and then let their teammates handle everything in the middle.
Sneaky
and hopefully
tactics,
get a structure.
Bog down. We have double bog down, sneaky tactics, and Desert Storm used. Interesting. So sneaky tactics was used mid. Desert Storm, I don't know if it takes away the extra attack that sneaky tactics provides.
I don't think so.
I don't think it does. I think it takes away the shroud. So it isn't really the best in terms of an offensive skill. But it does seem like the sad faces are streaming out from S96S here.
Oh, man.
I mean, we can look at the dot mode here, and yeah, you can see it's primarily blue, primarily beer, primarily the international servers taking control of this mid-fight. International servers have some hope in this Grand Prix, and a win-or-go-home scenario. This arc being a win-or-go-home arc, it looks like beer have control, but it is not out of the woods yet. They have to escort it back home. Let's see how much they put into defending this arc, as it is spawning in 5 seconds here.
Oh man, now the question is, like, is S96 going to contest this arc here? Because with 19 minutes left, I mean, based on the pool right here, the Beer's going to score. It's a matter of moments to win. And are we going to see a 4th arc follow? And if I was Beer, I would get a 4th arc.
That is pretty interesting. I mean, the thing that's rough for S96S is in the 2 arcs, at least it went buildings, at least they were able to flip things. They went full structures Redline. I mean, they went full mid Redline, and they weren't able to get anything out of it. The map is in an even state. They're able to flip perhaps a Sky Altar. They're able to flip this Shrine of Life, but Beer was able to take them back while also winning this mid fight. They are banking on provisions. S96S are banking on provisions, hoping, praying that this could make up for their 5k difference in points, because they are down by 1.7 with about 4k in this arc. So that's going to be 5.7k down with a 3rd arc capture. That's going to be pretty hard to come back with provisions, but I think S96S are just hoping that they have the provision advantage in that case. We could see that there's only 144 points compared to 738. we have seen some of the Chinese server teams go up to 6K provision, 7K provision score.
That's what I was going to ask you, Plato. That's what I was going to ask you. Like, the last match I watched, it went up from like, I don't know, 0 to like 5K at the end of the match. So like, what's the highest that we've seen so far in terms of provisions? Because from my understanding, most teams have a set amount of players who are going, they're hopping caravans, right? They're hopping boom, 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 and then finally turning at the end, like just to save amount of time and be more efficient. Like, can we see a possibly 7K provision score by S96 doing that?
Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 provisioners out from S96S. In response to 1, 2, 3 provisioners from Beer. So Beer not actually going into that provisioning game that the Chinese server has been known to pull off. I'm so curious as to how Beer will play this out, because they do have Arc. They are bringing it to the obelisk. But there is a world where S96S can come back from provisions. We've seen 14 provisioners out and about from S96S. They can potentially go up to 6K and win this game. As ridiculous as that sounds, Redline, this is actually going to be a nail-biter despite Beer winning 3 arcs.
I think Beer needs to get a 4th arc in there, because again, like you said, there's 14 marches that are gathering on the side of S96, right? That's 14 marches not in the middle. I think you go hard, secure the game by getting a 4th arc. That's what I think that Beer needs to do.
That is a hard call to make. And their leadership must be sweating, because, if this was international server, if this was Osiris League, we'd be like, all right, they probably win this game. GG's. They're up by 6K. But
anything could happen, Plato.
Anything could happen with the gatherers out there. We're going to have to keep a look and see how Beer responds. I think they're pretty confident with their 6K lead that they have right now, 5.8K lead that they have right now, saying as long as we hold structures, as long as we hold this arc, we should have the advantage in this game. They do not. I mean, if they were to capture the arc, right? They probably would have captured it by now. So I think they're saying that we believe in our point lead that we have. We believe in our ability to hold structures, and we're just gonna hold down and we don't think S96S can out provision the lead that we have.
And as we say that right now, the map is going back and forth, and I have a feeling that they're going to turn this arc very soon to get a 4th one. I feel like it's going to happen soon, Plato. It's going to happen soon. You have to widen that lead. I know they're confident and like, hey, they're scoring and they're defending, but again, this is a win or go home, and I feel like you focus on your strengths, and mid is their strength, and I think they're going to turn it in and go for the 4th one.
Yeah, I mean, they still have time. If they capture this arc, there will be 7 minutes left in the game. There you go. They did capture the arc. Okay, so there will be a 4th arc.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go, Lotto. Here it is.
There will be a 4th arc.
Server. Take it or go home.
This 4th arc will mean everything, because if Beer secure this 4th arc, even with provisions, I do not think S96S could come back. I don't think they could come back by a 4.5K arc on top of a 6K point lead. But if S96S somehow pull out, say, hey, you know what? We're trolling mid, all 3 mid fights, and we're actually good at mid, win that 4th arc, it'd be heartbreaking for Beer. So we'll have to see how both teams respond here. Perhaps S96S see that there's going to be a 4th arc, pull back the gatherers early, and starts going full mid, because this mid fight will mean everything for both teams.
It's like the last 14 minutes of the game, right? Like, now the call has to be made, and it looks like S96 is not pulling them, because if I think they should be doing it by now. Beer is going hard on these structures, Plato, and they're going to try to separate the lead as much as possible. And in a few minutes here, you're going to see them rotate to mid. Beer has to take full advantage of this now. It's their game to lose, Plato.
Yeah, they have the reins, they have the keys, they made the decision to capture the arc. So you have to believe that the decision of capturing that arc comes with the decision to fight to the death for that fourth arc, fight to the death for control of the game. S96S, even though they've been in the back foot, that provisioner, those provisions overlooming, always being in the back pocket, always being a question mark for Beer, not knowing how many provisioners they have and not knowing how many provisioner points they have, making it so that this game, even though it should be over by a 5k point differential, is still intriguing for both teams.
Yeah, I'm biting my nails right now, Plautus, looking at this. Like, this is like this is what we're here to see. We're here to see this level of competition, and in the next 6 minutes is going to determine the fate of S96.
The next call, the next fights. By the way, this is a huge flip from Beer. The Sky Altar flipping for Beer, absolutely huge. And this is how they've been able to get this occupation advantage, or not occupation advantage, but you know, even though they've been winning these mid fights, they've been able to flip the structures to the point where it's not worth it for S96S to go structures, because Beer's been able to have S96S's numbers on the straight up lane fights when Beer does not go middle.
Yeah, the struggle that I'm seeing, Paul, right now is what Beer has about 10.5k worth of arc points, right? And then you look at the occupation score, it's only a 4.4k difference. Yeah, it's not enough. It's not enough.
That is with Beer sacking the structures for the first and second arc. That is with S96S going structure focus. When they go head to head, Beer has been able to flip the structures more so than S96S, I feel. We saw Beer hold on to that Sky Altar before that third arc fight or that second arc fight for so long, and that's been the name of the game. Beer structures have been more stable than S96S when they decide to defend them. So the building game of S96S has been very tedious for them. It's been hard for them to capture these structures. Even the Sky Altar, which was just captured, has a garrison in there. It's not a free capture by any means. Now with 4 minutes to go, they're trying to recapture the Sky Altar. Beer's already starting to rotate middle.
S96 needs to do the same. And if they are provisioning the way we think they are, Paulo, this has to happen for them. Like, this is their 11 minutes left. It's going to determine their fate of the tournament. They have to go mid.
Yeah, they have to somehow steal this arc, because we've seen Beer mid-fight after mid-fight after mid-fight be so dominant. Now that there's a fourth mid-fight, could S96S turn on the skill switch? You have to look at their skills, by the way. They already used to the death. They have sneaky tactics, bog down. They have total vision. They have dust up. I'm going to be curious as to what skills they choose to use. Meanwhile, we look at the other side of things here. There is an extra skill from Beer that has not been revealed. It's crazy how Beer's been able to win mid fights when they have Dust Up, Desert Storm, and Bog Down. That's their mid skills. That's what they've been showing so far. They used to the death in that first arc. So is that last skill from Beer something that they could pull off on this Temple of Osiris? Is it something that they could pull off mid, or is it a master strategies for some sneaky play in case things go awry? That's going to be the main question. What skills do these teams use? Because I think everyone, you could see the funnel coming in from both teams, just going all in mid. But we were talking about how S96S have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 gatherers, 12 gatherers still out there. They're going to be about 8 marches down because Beer only have 3.
Yeah, that's the problem. And again, these provisioners better bring in like 20,000 points, Plato. I'm kidding. Maybe 6 or 7, because S96 needs this arc and those provisioners need to bring it home. So that's the only way I see it, is that they either one, delay this arc or cap it. Like, that's the only thing you can do. And you have 8 minutes to do it.
Man, this arc fight will determine win or go home for both these teams in the lower bracket. Whoever wins this game has the pleasure of fighting 748W. It would be a rematch for Beer. International server versus international server. Or S96S would be able to prove that, hey, we still have more in the tank. But with how the mid fights have been going, I feel like this should be Beer favored. What do you think, Redline?
I mean, they have a sniper. Are you seeing this? They have a sniper in the mid right now. So, like, he's just taking his pop shots, you know, pew, pew, pew. I honestly, Beer has been doing great in the middle. They've been consistent, you know, 3 arcs in a row. And I feel like they have this in the bag. Whatever they're doing is working. But, again, this S96 has something in the bag to showcase, you know what, we can make it to the next round in the lower bracket. So, we're going to see here very shortly.
I will say this this siege tower is putting in the work. So the mark that I was hitting is already yellow. Like, this siege tower actually poking down the marches, absolutely putting in some work here. S96S actually having to push back the murder ball because of the siege tower. 40 seconds left until arc spawns. Beer have positioning advantage. We start to see the skills get popped. Dust up used by S96S. Beer still holding strong. Beer still holding steady. Tower has been moved up, and because of that, S96S going into this murder ball. Bog down used by S96S. What will Beer use? They use bog down in response. We'll see the Venn diagram of death. Beer using total vision. So it is bog down total vision versus bog down dust up. 6 points to 8 points. Will this be the mid fight that Beer loses? Or will this be the mid fight where Beer secures this game? The arc has spawned. This pull is going to be absolutely huge. These two teams, these two marches are going to be exactly the same. Will it be S96S or will it be Beer? It's S96S with a pull. How far can they pull it off?
Oh my god.
It looks like they weren't able to pull it too far. And it looks like it won't matter. Beer smashing this mid fight. My goodness, will they be able to get the pull at S96S to perhaps prolong the mid fight? The answer is no. A fully healthy Belisarius Prime running for its life. There is going to be some marches from S96S that is going to attack the arc carrier, though. It is not a free pull whatsoever. Oh my goodness, the arc is down, but Beer's murder ball coming in like a wrecking ball. They should be able to wipe these marches from S96S. S96S just trying their best to delay this arc. There's 5 minutes left. There should be enough time for Beer to capture this arc. And again, if Beer capture this arc, they should have full control over this game. What does S96S decide to do? It looks like S96S sending the marches straight towards this arc.
Oh, they're sending in the boys. Like, they're gonna they have to contest this, or at least delay Beer scoring it before the match ends. Because if they can do that, and if the Provisioners are doing what they think they're doing, that's the only way, Poddle. Like, unless they pull something out of the bag here, I think Beer has this in the bag.
This is, my goodness, this is going to be the arc of all arcs. They were able to smash that mid fight so hard, though. Now the mid fight marches are actually going to be face defending the marches that are sprinting towards the arc. And you have to keep in mind, I mean, there is a sentry. The sentry is absolutely huge from S96S because they can see the arc carrier. But we've been talking about S96S's outpost control. They actually don't control their outposts right now, and this is crucial because outposts, if you control all 3 outposts of your home area, you can have true vision of the arc. So this arc is now going to be in fog of war for S96S. They're going to be running into the murder ball blind, but they have to. This is an arc that they need to retrieve, that they need to at least not allow Beer to get. S96S using sneaky tactics. Are they using it in the murder ball here? Using it in the murder ball, walking towards the arc so that they cannot target the marches that are trying to get to the arc. I do not think Beer have enough points for Desert Storm as of yet, or else they would have used it already. This outer lane person from S96S is going to be the blocker. Will they be able to block this arc and perhaps take it further away from the cities of Beer? This is pretty much, this area is pretty much under Beer's control. Look how fast the reinforcements are coming in. 16 seconds to get to this arc. This should be under Beer's control, but S96S right now having the open field.
Oh man, they're doing everything in their power to make sure they don't score. I mean, 3 minutes can happen. It can happen, but how close they are to their cities is just, I find it close to impossible, Plato. Unless they pull something out of the bag, I don't think they can do it. God, it's too close. And it's too close. I think Beer had this one, Plato.
This should be under Beer's control. The city and the arc literally almost touching. S96S have to somehow get control of this arc. There are no master strategies at play. You could see the bar here. Neither team has master strategies. Beer just going to be able to continuously pour in marches over and over and over again. The arc has been captured for Beer.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely huge play from them, up by 10k. And no matter how much you can provision, S96S, that should be the game for Beer. What a game.
Oh man, I gotta see the provision score. I gotta see, because they gotta turn it in no matter what, right? So I'm really curious to see, like, was it worth, having 10 to 12 marches missing, from the mid or defending structures? Like right now, you see the score on S96 side, they jumped up 2k just now. Yeah. Like, everyone's coming home, so I'm wondering like what the difference will be.
S96S tried their best to try to get that arc. They dropped the Sky Altar, they dropped the Shrine of War, they dropped everything just to run at that arc. Beer, though, knowing that that was their one win condition, and as you were talking about, they did not put anything to chance. They did not say, hey, we have 3 arcs, we have a 6k lead, we should be good. They went, captured the arc, believed in their mid fight, and said, hey, we're gonna go for that 4th arc, we're gonna go for that 4.5k, and let's make S96S have to come into us yet again. S96S have not been able to win a mid fight at all this game, and Beer just showing their dominance, showing that they trust their mid fights, they trust their strategy, they trust their leaders. With 1 minute to go, this is the first inkling of success that the international server has had, and perhaps the international server now starting to make their lower bracket run. All the international server teams are in the lower bracket, finally taking a victory against the Chinese server. Beer doing the international server proud. S96S with a valiant and great attempt, but ultimately the mid fights were just too much.
GG's to S96 and great work by Beer. And like you said, I feel like compared to the last match, Beer really capitalized, like on their gaps. Like I think they have 15,000 points from our arcs alone. And I believe, like, compared to the last match, they did much better on the occupation piece of it. So kudos to Beer for making that, making those adjustments. And again, S96 valiant effort on trying to like minimize those occupations against those arcs they lost, but they just couldn't pull through at the end. Plato, they couldn't do it.
GG's to both teams. What a match! But Beer from the international server, coming from the qualifier stage, coming from the registration phase, able to take down S96S. Beer squad at 41,000 points compared to the 33.3k. Wow. From S96S. They did have 6.7k in provisions, but that was not enough, as Beer has taken the victory away and will be continuing on in the lower bracket. Will be fighting 748W, which will be a rematch between those two teams. Redline, do you have any final notes as we see Beer continue on and S96S go home?
Congrats again to Beer, S96, GG's. Looking forward to the next match, and we'll see you all very soon.
And we will have a 5-minute break before we get into 60GT versus 489, the Grand Prix finals of last year in the first round of the lower bracket.
See you all then.
blazing so bright, calling the fight from vigilance. We stand from dawn to twilight. The empire's rise and conquer. In the wild face of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath. Each dawn it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine. Fear lurks beyond the edge of sight. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos for sharpening your knife. Make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine. Can both recall is scattered in the wild sound of wardrobes.
As we are back with the casts, 60 GT in the top left corner versus 489 in the bottom right. Most people expected these two teams to eventually face each other. Most people did not expect them to face each other in the lower bracket 1, but in the first round of the lower bracket 2. This is a rematch of last year's Grand Prix, but it's a rematch of the finals. But it's also a rematch of the Realm of Anubis finals of this season, Season 8. These two teams having a lot of history. Redline, what do you think of this matchup?
It's going to be a nail biter, man. And again, it's a grudge match from last year with 489 winning Grand Prix. This matchup is going to come down to little details. If you look back at the last match, GT did well in their art game, but they struggled in the occupation and provisions. On the opposite end, 489 had no arcs last match, but occupation, they were up by 6k, but lost in provision. So I feel like these teams also need to adjust and fill those gaps, and I really think that's going to come down to the wire here on this one.
I think that these two teams being in the lower bracket just shows, one, the amount of competition that has emerged in this year, this iteration of the Grand Prix. But two, how hard it is to repeat as champions in the Grand Prix. Things change year after year. I think both of the rosters they definitely have some new players, some new talent. Now in the lower bracket, hoping to keep their run alive. The winner of this match will be versing 27WP, which would be, I believe, a rematch for 489. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how these two teams react and face off against each other. As the gates have finally dropped, we see Energetic used by 489 and 60 GT. The initial rallies, we have the 4 obelisk rallies for both teams, 8 rallies in total rather. Redline, give us some insider information. What do you think we will see in this match?
Well, I like I mentioned in the last match, I think the openings are going to be the same. I think they're both going to invest heavily in the inside lanes. But the thing with the last match, 489, they only lost that by less than 2,000 points, and their occupation game is very strong. The thing is, GT, I know they go heavily in the middle and they do very well in the middle, but can they adapt to the occupation game of 489, which is very strong in my opinion? So that's really going to dictate the game here for these two teams. Can GT adapt to 489, and then is 489 going to go harder in mid?
Yeah, I mean, these two teams very familiar with each other on paper. Not expecting to see this matchup in the lower bracket in the first round. Both of these teams seeing as some of the favorites alongside 93T in the international server. Now only one of these teams can continue. This is a win or go home scenario. One best of one. So all of these decisions, all of these plays are going to be crucial for both teams. You think we'll see standard play from both of these teams, Redline, or are we going to be seeing something new? Is it going to be standard because this is such an important game, or is it going to be something new because it's such an important game?
I think we're gonna see something new. If you right now, like you see those marches going down to the middle, I'm really curious of what GT is gonna do here. They're not going to the desert altar like how normal standard play is, where everyone's going down the inside lane. What are they doing? And they're being led here, like 6 people. Is this like a little secret mission that they're going for? Like I'm really curious of what they're trying to do here.
It's not very secret though, because 489 puts a sentry in the middle here. They have full vision that the Desert Altar 1 is not going to be contested, but 2 that they have a whole slew of marches in this middle side. 489, as we said, these two teams are very familiar with each other. 489 probably saw that this would be something 60GT would do.
Interesting. That's a very interesting, perfect placement on the side of 489. Just very interesting. Like, and what are they gonna do to, I guess, counter it? Which, yeah, Paul, looks like I think I was right. They're gonna go from the backside. But does that do anything? Like, does that do anything? Now that they know where they're at, like, does that really do anything?
They are going from the backside, as Red said. I don't know what exactly the plan will be, where they're gonna be sending these marches. Perhaps it could be a swing around to this topside Desert Altar, over-indexing on that side. I feel like 489 have so many marches around this Desert Altar area that they should be able to wipe this murder ball that's in the middle lane here. Yeah. They have full vision of what's going on as well. It's not going to be a surprise. They also know how many marches are in the outer lane for 60GT. So I believe 489 have full vision. Let's see what they plan to do with it as we start to see 60GT, as you said, swooping around from the outer lane, perhaps trying to snipe out the garrison lead before the structure flips. If they snipe out this garrison lead, if they snipe out Arvix's Eleanor with Heraclius, this is going to be an absolutely huge play, because even if the structure goes to 489, it's going to be hard for them to hold. This murder ball kind of looking like KVK, a back and forth, making sure that all of the marches that were in this middle side are going to be there. We start to see this back and forth between these two teams, making sure that they don't overextend. 60GT, though, look like they have taken the more negative side of the trade. A lot of their marches already being read. I feel like 489's marches, however, were able to get off scotch-free without a single skill firing from 60GT. They have the numbers disadvantage in this Desert Altar. I'm going to be curious as to what they plan to do with this area. As we can start to see the Desert Altar in the top side, it is inverse here. 60GT absolutely wiping this Desert Altar assault of 489. And this top side over here looks like a pretty even fight from both teams in this outer lane top side. So all things considered, pretty interesting play from 60GT here. But I don't think it'll pay off too much. 489 were able to get that first tap. There was a garrison from 60GT that was trying to sneak into that Desert Altar, but this will be a hold from 489. You can see all of the structures in this map in the top right. All of them going to the... What? Obelisk taken, but I don't think that would mean too much.
I mean, delay and teleports, right? But I mean, not too much unless they hold it, which I highly doubt they will.
I don't know.
Yeah, that initial play by GT was, again, I think what the play was to kind of sneak in a garrison in there and just kind of throw them off, because again, with the vision piece of it, like 489 had no idea if teams or players are coming from the top side of that Desert Altar. They just did well to counter that. But yeah, that was a very curious play. I was like, I had no idea what they were doing there.
Well, all things considered, the map is actually even though the Shrines of Life are towards their opponents. It's a direct mirror outside of the outpost, which 60GT do have advantage of. So all things considered, looks like a pretty standard play here, but I feel like 489 have a tempo advantage. Look how many marches are marching towards the Shrine of War. marching towards the Sky Altar. Pretty interesting that they actually decided to attack both structures at the same time. Perhaps these guys are the sacrificial lambs so that this Shrine of War can be attacked. You don't usually see a Shrine of War offensive, but it is still 400 points in first occupation up for grabs here, and this should be pretty uncontested. This should be a take from 489 at least.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it probably was because of that play, right? There were 489 was like, okay, we just wiped out this murder ball on the bottom side. Let's move up and then kind of put the pressure on GT, and I feel like they'll be able to do that here by taking the shrine.
Yeah, I mean 60 GT here, able to take. Oh, 60 GT. There you go. 60 GT shrine has been taken. First occupation points at least has been stalled out. The thing about the Shrine of War, why it is not attacked too much, is because it's on the way to middle. So even if there's some marches from 60 GT that just come over through middle, try to take the Shrine of War, it's not going to mean too much. And they're not even trying to hold it. They don't have a garrison in there. They have a Huakibing, some AFK marches actually from 489, but it shouldn't matter too much. They're going to sad face their marches into the 60 GT structures. Again, you see the Dragon Lancers, the Marks Women's, so that they sad face as slow as possible. That's the reason why they put the bad garrisons on their city walls, so that they take away as much tempo from their opponents as possible. It's going to be marginal because it's still a 460 million power city that you're swarming down, but you know, it'll slow them down by quite some time. And look, you can see 60 GT actually having a tempo advantage right now.
Yeah, now the question is, right, with 4 minutes left in the arc, Pato, GT looks like, you know, they're going mid, right? But like their structures, like again from last match, the problem was the occupation score wasn't in favor of GT, and are they gonna, you know, learn from those mistakes and then kind of figure out how to balance it out while still taking out the mid?
60 GT has always been a mid team. If they lose a mid structure, I mean a arc fight that they go for, it's been disaster for 60 GT. That's what happened against 732A that they lost against last week to bring them down to this lower bracket. I think they're learning from that mistake. They're going to go directly for this first arc, and then they're probably going to go defensive for their structures and go provision, similar to the Chinese style of gameplay that we've been seeing from the Chinese server. But you can see that both teams here are stacking this area. Looks like 60 GT. Are they gonna try to retake this desert altar? There is a rally coming through. Actually, this rally should be able to take it. They have two swarmers there as well, so it should be a free take. They should be able to get their first occupation points. You can actually see some marches coming out from the 489 desert altar. I don't know if that was on purpose. But overall, the first occupations should be fine for 489.
Oh man, this mid fight's really who's gonna have the momentum here? Who's gonna take this? Because 489 and also in their own right are great at the mid as well. Yeah. So really interested to see, like, this first arc is really gonna dictate the game of, you know, are they gonna hold it? Like how like what are the skills being used? And I'm really interested to see, you know, how both teams utilize these skills for this upcoming arc.
It might be a double to the death play, not gonna lie. It might be both teams using to the death. We've seen 60 GT choose to hold to the death in that first game, but 7328 just never went mid and went structures the whole time. So
exactly.
So this first arc might actually be the only time that both teams will be able to use to the death here. But you know, to the death doesn't mean you're gonna necessarily win a mid fight. You could have some combination of total vision, of bog down, of dust up to counteract that to the death. But we'll have to see. Both teams just staring at each other talking about dust up, used by both teams here a little bit before the arc spawns.
War drums, 2 murder balls. Ah, wow.
War drums.
lost in
War
the past.
drums used by 489. This is the first time in Grand Prix. I feel like in Osiris League this past season that we've seen war drums be used. What an interesting skill here. My goodness. We have not seen war drums be used in quite some time. This is 5 points used by 489 though. So perhaps they're looking to use 9 points. Overall, it is 5 points in response by 60GT. Perhaps 489 saying War Drums does more than Sneaky Tactics. There you go, Bog Down U. So it is a total of 9 points. Heaven's Grace in response from 60GT. You have to keep in mind, Bog Down does counter Heaven's Grace, taking away 50% healing from the units. There's 10 seconds until this arc fight begins. I mean, until the arc spawns, rather. Who is winning this mid fight? It is looking pretty close, but the blue sad faces are starting to come out. So are the red, though. So are the red.
Oh,
I think it'll come down to first pull. I think it'll come down to first pull, red line. Who is going to be the hero arc carrier? Will it be 60GT? Will it be 489? It is 489 with a perfect pull on their side of the fight. This double C is running for its life. But what a huge pull from the double C. They have a backup arc carrier as well. Will they start pulling this arc a bit late? 60GT though look like they are winning the overall murder ball. So even though it's a great pull, 60GT able to get that second pull, able to get the mid win, and overall able to get control of that arc, even despite that 489 pull.
Now it's going to come down to Plato structures. How is 489 going to respond to structures? Right now it looks like bottom side they lost their Shrine of Life, so that was that 5% defense that was lost for that mid fight. You know, that could have been a huge factor as well. But how are they going to respond to losing this first arc? And will GT turn it in and continue to fight in the middle?
That was a huge win from 60GT. 3K in control. Looks like 60GT have some marches defending it. They have some marches attacking as well. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, because now the marches that could have been trying to snipe, trying to attack that arc carrier will now be preoccupied defending the Desert Altar, preoccupied defending the Shrine of War. And 60GT should have full control of this game, as 489 are scrambling right now to try to defend their structures.
That Shrine of War on the 489 side looks definitely undefended right now, so that might be easy cap for them.
Desert Altar looks like it's also getting aggressed upon as well, although the rally is quite far away. Looks like 489 also trying to attack and see the weakness of the Sky Altar. 60GT's murder ball was so dominant that, you know, the outer lanes are actually pretty exposed from 60GT because not that many people sad face. So I think 489 seeing that a lot of the marches that are usually in the outer lane are in the inner lane attacking the Desert Altar, trying to trade Desert Altar for Sky Altar. But if you lose mid, trading structures is not what you want to do. They were able to take the Desert Altar on the top side here. 60GT trying to take that back, but they do have an Eleanor garrison in there. This is actually going to be a big hold if 489 is able to hold it. It looks like they do have a lot of reinforcement marches coming through.
It's looking really close there. It's looking really close, but I think 489 can hold this based on the number of marches that are surrounding it. They can definitely do a good hold here and get some points from it.
The rally is coming in, though. The rally is coming in. It's not a full rally, though. It started at 700k, I believe. So this rally should be swarmable, especially because it does not have the call. It's CPOA with Tariq, which does a lot of damage, but is not as tanky. Pretty swarmable, which is exactly what 489 is trying to do here. So 489 able to... Are they able to hold this structure? Let's see the reinforcements that are coming in. Not too many reinforcements coming in. Still rather far away. So all the marches around this Desert Altar will be the marches for quite some time. This CPOA with Tariq is doing damage on this Desert Altar. And 489 just didn't have enough marches to swarm down that rally. So the Desert Altar will flip. Will it flip? The Desert Altar will flip.
It looks like all 4 altars are in the hands of 489 right now, so they're doing what they can to kind of offset the
Will
points
this
from losing
Desert
that arc.
Altar flip? I don't even know. The reinforcements are actually coming through. Look at the cav marches.
I know.
Triple
This is-
line. I'm like reverse caster cursing it right now as 489. This Eleanor is holding on for dear life. You can see brand new marches coming in. 60GT desperately swarming down this
Amazing
Desert
hold.
Altar. There's no garrison in there. The garrison is now starting to... There is no garrison nearby, actually. They have a Joan of Arc Prime and are stuffing that thing. It is still a Joan of Arc Prime garrison. It's now an XY. It has finally gone down, but it should have gone
Great
down
hold.
about a minute ago if it was normal teams. But 4 and 9 absolutely defending that structure with their lives. A great hold from them. And now they're trying to just hold on to the Sky Altar that they've taken. Maybe take back the Desert Altar. You know, definitely having some tempo on these buildings. You can see now it is about a 1.6k advantage on the scores right now. Although 60GT do have 3k in the bank. So they are up by about 1.4 overall, 60GT. But what should have been a disastrous play from 4 and 9, because 4 and 9 went mid, they lost arc. They were actually able to come back a little bit in this game here and take back some of these altars.
Yeah, it's looking good for 489 in terms of like what they did to counter that loss to the mid fight. I feel like they're doing a really good job at kind of, okay, hey, that didn't work out. Let's shift. Let's make adjustments. Let's minimize those points, and they're doing a really good job at least taking some points away from GT from those buildings.
Yeah, we could see that it is now stable. The structures are now stable. No provisioners as of yet from 489. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provisioners from 60GT.
Oh man.
So 60GT, I think they've been watching the Chinese servers, seeing how they've been provisioning, seeing that a lot of these Chinese server games come to the wire, but they've been able to win by out provisioning their opponents. Seeing that this game might be a nail biter as well, but as long as they provision more than their opponents, they should have a good chance to win. So 60GT definitely having the provisioner advantage right now, having the arc advantage. As long as they hold their altars and hold their structures, they should have pretty decent control of this match so far, Redline.
I completely agree. Right now. And now you're looking at the map. There's like 10 gatherers on the side of GT. And last match they did about like 4,800 points of provisions, which is like literally one arc, Plato. Like, and nobody on the side of 489 is doing that. You know, I feel like GT is really thinking of the long game here. In the event they do lose the mid fight, but now as we say that, arc has been turned in, Plato. So we're gonna see another arc fight in the next 3-4 minutes.
And you can see the true score between these two teams. It is only 700 points being the difference. 60GT, though, are provisioning. 489, if you're not provisioning, you would hope that you could flip these structures, but we've seen that it is very, very hard to flip these teams in the Grand Prix structures, especially because these are the best of the best teams from the international server, from the Chinese server. 60GT 489 are definitely some of the best teams from the international server, being the Grand Prix finals last season. And you can see that the gameplay is reflecting that. This is a great hold from 60GT, mirroring the hold that 489 did earlier in the same Desert Altar. Both teams just holding on to this Desert Altar for dear life. And honestly, this is a huge win for 60GT, because if 60GT go even with the structures, they just need to play defensive with the structures. They're winning slowly but surely with their provisioner points, rather.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But my concern on the GT side is that, you know, they're right now in terms of occupation points, right? They're down about, you know, 2.5k versus 489, right? But if 489 continues to capitalize that for what we assume there could be 3 arcs in this matchup, you know, they can definitely keep the gap very close, like right as it is right now, 500 point difference.
Yeah, I mean, it is. If you're 489, there's a looming threat of those gatherers. I'm sure they've done their scouting report. I'm sure they know that 60GT do gather quite a bit. with the Grand Prix being developer accounts, everyone having the same commanders, same gear, same equipment. Gathering feels like it's more stronger because everyone has those legendary sets of gathering gear. They have the legendary inscriptions for gathering armaments. So it's looking super strong because people have been able to make 1 arc worth, 2 arcs worth with 7k in provisions. 60GT seeing that with all of their provisioners lighting up the map, lighting up the camels. There's going to be a camel shortage in 60GT side soon because of how many gathers that they have out there, how many provisions that they have out there. And with them with the lead, 489 have to respond. They're the ones in the back foot. It looks like they are starting a mid rotation here 5 minutes before arc spawns.
Yep. You're going to see a good fight here in the middle. And remind with the stream, right? The winner of this match, they face against 27 WP.
Yeah, I believe they face against 27 WP, which is actually the team that 489 lost to in the upper brackets.
Got it. Ooh.
So it's going to be a rematch for 489, or it's going to be 60GT perhaps trying to revenge 489. They're rivals here. But yeah, 27 WP, a very, very strong team. Very, very close match yesterday as well. So it is a win or go home scenario, but they're going to be versing a very strong team if they do win in this lower bracket run.
Either way,
it's
going to be a great.
It's going to
be rough.
It's going to be a rough path, but it's not impossible for these two teams. You know, being the 2 grand finalists last season, the lower bracket definitely showing to a lot of potential and a lot of intrigue because these teams are playing for their tournament lives. Everything matters. All the decisions, you know, perhaps hitting a march a bit too early, hitting a march a bit too late, the skills that you use middle, how fast you rotate middle as well. And it looks like we saw 489 rotate middle. Some of them actually going towards the Sky Altar now. So is this a building play from 489 perhaps? Is this...
I think it is, Plato. I think it is the building play because that's 489's strength. Like from previous matches, like they're very good at the occupation game, and I feel like they're going to take advantage of that. But the thing is GT going to counter that, knowing that? And they know that. And again, these teams have played each other numerous times throughout the years, and they definitely know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So it's really about like how can teams adapt? Because right now, looking at the map here, 489, they should know now that they're definitely focused on the building game because GT lost Shrine of War just now. They lost the other altar. So, like, 489 is doing what they can in anticipation of losing this arc to kind of wipe that away. Make it a pretty free arc.
Yeah, I mean, if you go building game and your opponents rotate super early, that's actually good for you because, you know, you have 3 minutes where these marches of 60GT will be twiddling their thumbs, wondering what they should be doing, wondering if it was a bad call to go middle this early. However, the only structure they've taken so far is the Desert Altar. The Shrine of War was taken back from 60GT. Sky Altar, though, looks like it is under heavy assault from 489. I think the play will work out for 489 if they're able to take the Sky Altar, which it looks like they are able to. And if they're able to hold it for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes here, they should be in a pretty comfortable spot, but if I was 489, I'd also be pretty nervous about giving up a free arc. They probably have some form of sneaky tactics to at least harass and slow down the arc capture, so it won't be exactly free. But I'm curious to see what 60GT will do with the murder ball that they have middle after the arc has spawned.
Yeah, looking at the map now, it looks like GT is kind of realizing, okay, hey, you know, 489 is not setting heavy presence in the mid. Now they're kind of using those other players' flexes to kind of support the other structure that they just lost. So good play by them to kind of realize the situation here because it looks like they have really shifted a lot of their players out to those inside and outer lanes. So this could be a good thing for GT.
Yeah, I mean, they are being very flexible, saying, hey, we already won mid. We don't need to send everyone here. Let's go ahead and take back our Desert Altar. They took back the Shrine of War. They're on their way to take back the Sky Altar. I'm curious to see what 489 decide to do. Looks like they're going back to aggress on the altars again, but perhaps they could have went middle late and try to attack the murder ball that 60GT has, perhaps it would have been too late already, so they're just going towards the structures again. I'm curious though how this will go. Sneaky tactics used by 489. It was used middle, and Desert Storm in response from 60GT. They are able to take half of the murder ball. I love this from 489 though, because this top side of the murder ball is still stealthy. They used, wow, I've never seen this actually. They used sneaky tactics to its maximum range, splitting up the murder ball. So 60GT had to choose the top side or the bottom side. So now, even though half of the murder ball will go to their deaths, there are some stealthy marches from 489 that could deny the arc capture for at least a little bit here.
Yeah, that is super interesting. And look at the map. The map is completely flipped, Otto. So right now, in terms of point generation, right? Literally, GT has 70 points versus 530. So 489 is doing everything they can here to kind of, one, delay the arc, right? And then two, get as many points as they can from this occupation game.
Yeah, I mean, Red Lion, this is going to be really interesting. They were able to take back their altars, so that's huge. But with this arc, I think 60GT know that there are some invisible marches. They saw that they had full vision of the marches as they split up. You could see now, coming out of stealth. Redline, do you think that this arc will be able to... Will this be a clean pull, and will 60GT be able to take this back home in time?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. There's not that many marches for 489 to really... Again, they're going to disrupt and maybe delay it by a few minutes, but I think based on what I'm seeing, there's going to definitely be a third arc, and I feel like the amount of marches that are committed to this from 489 is not a huge deal. It's more of just delaying so their other teammates can completely focus on structures and still, you know, minimize as many points they're going to lose from this arc.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the reason why sneaky tactics is so good, Redline, is because it forces 60GT. They don't know how many marches they should keep middle. They don't know how many marches they should keep to defend this arc. Sneaky tactics has now worn off though, so now they see all of the marches around. But that delayed the marches. Now they're like, okay, there's not that many people here. We could now start going towards the altars. We could start going towards the structures. But
exactly,
it definitely gave a lot of time for 489 to at least aggress on those structures. Where 60GT, if there wasn't a sneaky tactics, probably would have rotated earlier.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that could be a huge factor as well too, right? Because all topside is now bright red, and it could be because of sneaky tactics. 489 was able to confuse GT to say, okay, they probably have, I don't know, 20 marches in the middle versus what they really have was like 5 or 6 players. Like, it definitely could have been a huge factor in managing the amount of troops that were being utilized to protect those structures from GT.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. We have 489 in the lead by about 800 points here. Will that be enough though with the second arc in hand of 60GT? 3.5k with that second arc. They should have a points advantage, especially with... Oh wait, actually 60GT bring back some of the provisioners. They don't have as many provisioners out there now. They have 1k in provisions, and now it's flipped where 489 actually have provisioners out. Pretty interesting from 60GT, perhaps, you know, seeing that the structures are going down, saying that we need the extra marches back from provisioners so that we can start getting back our structures. So this is going to be a true score here.
This is going to definitely be a true score. I completely agree with you there. And I feel like 49 is definitely capitalizing on this lost arc on the top side, especially with the structures just go flipping back and forth. They're just denying GT those points.
Yeah, and this Sky Altar, back and forth, potato, tomato, whatever you want it to be. The designers of the Sky Altar are probably so confused because it keeps becoming blue, red. It has been a struggle for 60GT with this outer lane Sky Altar. 489 just putting so much focus onto that. Same thing with the Desert Altar. Desert Altar generating points, but it will go down with how many blue marches are around here. 489 doing exactly what they need to do. They saw 60GT. They probably know 60GT put in their gatherers. And now the script is flipped where 489 have more gatherers for 60GT. And now 60GT are, you know, wondering how many gathering points are out there. But they do have control of the arc. and they should be pretty comfortable. They as soon as they have control of this arc, they could probably send out gatherers yet again.
Yeah, and I think that was the play too, Paul. We'll see here after this arc is turned in. I would assume that GT wants to have a third arc. It could be all based on like timing. Like, hey, arc is in, I don't know, 7 minutes. Let's send out gatherers here, X amount, whatever. And then when it comes down to arc time, they pull those marches out. So I think they'll have, they're using every single person to their ability to be most efficient. But now 489 is kind of going to do the same thing on their end with the amount of gatherers they have, which again, compared to what they had earlier, which was 0, they have about 4-6 gatherers out there. So I think we'll have a very, very close provision game at the end of this match.
As we were saying earlier, Redline, these two teams have history. These two teams are very familiar with each other. And it's been like this back and forth with the provisioners, but a clash of two different styles, buildings versus arcs. Which side will win? I'm going to be curious, Redline. How long do you think 60GT will hold this arc? Do you think they'll hold it for the whole duration, or do you think they'll force a third arc because they've been so dominant with the arc capture so far?
I honestly think that they're going to turn in quickly for a third arc. I mean, the last 2 mid fights have been great, but my concern is that I think part of the play for 489 was not to heavily invest in the arc in the first couple games, because again, last match they played against 27WP and it was a close match. Again, it was less than 2,000 points. They had 0 arcs compared to what 27WP had, which is 6,500 points. So I think it could be part of their strategy of not focusing on the mid for the first two arcs.
The lead is growing slowly but surely. They are now up by about 2.2k. 489 being pretty comfortable here.
And 489's gap to GT's occupation score is it's like 6,000 Plato. So they're definitely taking advantage of the structure game against GT.
That 6,000 point is actually pretty equal to the arcs that 60GT has captured. It's going to be 6.5k for the arcs here once this arc is captured. So I think it will come down to that final arc and occupation, and gathering.
Yep. It's gonna be true score. It's gonna be, like you said, true score here. Like, it's gonna be, I think it'll be less than 2k points at the end for either team. I think who's gonna win this match. It's gonna be that close, Plato.
Who do you guys think is gonna win? 60GT, 489? Put it in the chat. It is going to be so interesting. Gathering actually going to be an MVP here, as well as these structures and that final arc fight. A lot of factors with 23 minutes left of this match here. Redline, what do you think each team is going to be doing for this mid fight?
I think they're both going all in. They have to. I mean, the GT has to continue committing that because they're struggling on the occupation game. And then if 489 steals one of these arcs, I can see this match in their favor. I truly do. Their occupation game is amazing. They're doing really well. It's just, can they steal one? Which I think they're going to hope to do in the next, once GT turns it in.
I think 60GT, though, have been doing really well. We've been talking about the altars flipping. They have not been flipping recently. Doing what they can, trying to defend those altars. I mean, it's a very even map state right now. I believe every structure generating points for their home team, even in points per minute, pretty much outside of one outpost. And now you can see the gatherers coming back out from 60GT. 1, 2, 3. Are these gatherers? I think they are. 4, 5. Just gatherers coming out from 60GT. Not the same amount of gatherers coming out from 489. So we were talking about 489 should have a gathering advantage, but 60GT quickly pulling that back. 489, though, are up by about a decent amount here. What do you think is going to be happening? What do you think 60GT captures arc soon, Redline, or are they going to hold it for the 7 minutes?
I mean, I would assume they would. I mean, again, they want to stabilize, right? They want to. I think what they're trying to do now. If you're looking at the map, on everything on the red side is blinking red, right? So they're probably focusing on structures here, to kind of put, shift the momentum on their side, and then probably turn in the next couple minutes. Because right now, I guess once they stabilize and possibly get some points from the structures, which they're able to do right now with the Shrine of Life on the bottom side, they're trying to get that momentum, and I think that's what they're truly doing right now.
This lower brackets gets interesting and interesting. 21 minutes until we see the winner between these two teams. It is win or go home. Both teams would be disappointed in going home right now the first round of the lower brackets. Man, this is crazy. Grand Prix finals of last season, lower bracket, round one. And both teams here, whoever wins, are going to be who the international servers are looking forward to kind of proving ourselves here against the Chinese server. There's 4 teams in the upper bracket right now, all Chinese server teams. The arc was captured though, so there will be that third arc. 8 minutes until that spawns, and you could see that 60GT is up by 1.2k.
It's gonna be close, Bottle. Again, 24-8, 49 is definitely winning the occupation game. GG's winning the art game, which we kind of both assumed that was gonna be happening. It's just who's gonna steal one from the other, and I feel like GT needs to really kind of close that gap in occupation score in order to maintain this lead. Again, it's so close right now, but if 49 steals one, I think 49 can pull this one off.
It's going to be a dilemma for 60GT, right? They have so many gathers out there. I think some of them are starting to go back home now. So I think they will have their main gatherers stay out there, perhaps 4 or 5 gatherers. Everyone else gotta be all hands on deck for these structures, and then finally for that final mid fight. It's going to be so interesting to see if 60GT's provisions, you were saying that they need to make up the difference in their occupation. I wonder if they can make up that difference in occupation from provisions. This next arc though will give 4k points to whoever wins it. 4k points for 489 would definitely be a good margin, but it's not impossible for 60GT to come back in provisions. You said we've seen them do 4.8k, we've seen them do 5k in provisions. So the question is provisions and that last arc for 60GT.
Exactly, and I think that's what they really need to do, and also maintain their points per minute from the structures. I feel like that's very important for them, because right now 49 is very good at flipping them, which is why we see a huge gap in the occupation score. Yes, GT has the arc scores, but those little points matter, and that difference does matter. And you know, at the end of the day, it could be the determining factor in the last 2 minutes of the match.
My goodness, this is going to be coming down to the wire. 1.4k differential between these two teams, exactly the same amount of points per minute. It looks like the altar has now started generating points for 60GT. We'll start generating points for 489 pretty soon here, so it'll still be the exact same points per minute. These two teams pretty much mirroring each other except for their focuses, where 489's been building focus, 60GT has been arc focused. The real question is, Redline, who will be able to disrupt their opponents some more? Will 60GT be able to hold their structures, or will 489 be able to steal an arc? In my opinion, I feel like it's going to be easier for 60GT to hold their structures than it is for 489 to steal this arc, but we'll have to see in this final mid fight that is going to be happening in 5 minutes here. When should we start seeing some rotations from these two teams? It looks like 60GT is starting it now, actually. And yeah, so is 489.
Yeah, GT is definitely starting that now. I think it's kind of even on both sides. But when I was looking at the GT's match last time, the biggest opportunity they had, again, just from a spectator perspective, was that, you know, they didn't counter the aggression from the opponent when they went to structures as they were focusing on mid. So here, the most important part of GT is to really balance out who goes to mid, you know, who defends based on what they're seeing on the opponent's side. So you're going to see a lot of hidden sentries, I think, coming out from GT side to really understand like that strategy of what they need to do.
This is a nerve-wracking last 17 minutes for both teams here. Both have been realm champions. 60GT getting the better of 489 in the Realm of Anubis finals. Getting a little bit of revenge for the 489 winning the Grand Prix last season. These two teams now in this round number 3 between these two bouts here, to try to see who moves on in this lower bracket stage. It's going to be absolutely huge for both of these teams, both of these kingdoms morales, to see who will continue to represent this international server. We have about 4 minutes left. There is still a heavy assault from 489 on the desert altar here. Not to there. It looks like, wait, are they going to attack the shrine, the sky altar as well?
That's what it looks like, and that's what I think. Because you see those head sentries being popped up, like they're just out of view of that. And another thing to note, Plata, I was just counted the gatherers on 489 side. They have 15 people gathering.
Yeah.
15 marches, and which is pretty insane. So like, again, as we mentioned to the chat, like right, those marches not supported in the middle. So this could be the reason why they're focusing so heavy on structures. Like the hopefully, okay, there's a chance they might not get mid here. But we're gonna take all GT's buildings and then close the gap based on all these gatherers out there right now for 489.
That is true.
Which is a very, very risky play.
60 GT has already brought back most of their gatherers, right? That is super true. They probably knew that 60 GT would go for this mid focus, so they're like, hey, why trade everything in a mid fight that which we've been losing throughout the game? Let's just gather up. Let's go for these altars. And now 60 GT, they're making 60 GT have to make this decision. Do we continue to fully go mid, or do we go back to our altars? War drums used actually in the outer lane here to the sky altar. So as we were saying, going fully for these structures, Redline.
Oh man, I mean, hey, that could be a huge advantage for 489, right? And again, what is this? Our third arc, was it 4,000 points? Which in hindsight, right, it's not a whole lot of points if they can take all structures from GT and disrupt them. That you can easily close that gap. So really interested to see how GT counters this and holds this little lead that they have.
I will say this, though, this is a good defensive force from 60 GT. It's not going to be a free sky altar that 489 probably was expecting. So 60 GT, you know, they have defensive forces around the altar. The desert altar was taken, but there are a lot of sad phases coming up from 489. So it's not going to be free structures, which would have been catastrophic for 60 GT. They are still defending the structure. The sky altar, which War Drums is used in, is still alive here. Although it looks like they are trying to wipe the open field and the reinforcements around this sky altar. But it is still a delayed hold from 60 GT. Even if the sky altar falls, it was some time, maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minutes that they saved of extra occupation points.
Yeah, GT did a good job at getting those marches at the sky altar down to red, so the swarming impact won't be as crazy. Just enough time for them to get reinforcement there. So I think that there's a good chance they might be able to hold this based on the number of marches I see from GT coming to reinforce it. Or I could be wrong here, Blotto.
Oh, you cast it, cursed your own kingdom.
Oh, there it is. Hey, we gotta keep it spicy here. We gotta keep it spicy. It was a close one, though.
It was indeed a close
one.
Go. As it is now 4 altar control for 489. If they hold this for 13 minutes, it's gonna be really, really interesting. You could see that the point gap is getting lower and lower and lower. Now down to 1.2k. But we have to keep in mind that 60 GT, they will have control of a 4k arc, so they are essentially up by about 5.2 unless 489 have anything to say about it. 489 yet again splitting up the murder ball, so this top side was revealed. This bottom side though was not revealed from Desert Storm, and this is a new iteration, a new tech to a Desert Storm counter of sneaky tactics. You split up your sneaky tactics marches to the edges, start running as soon as sneaky tactics is placed, and hope that Desert Storm does not tag you. You could start to see now that there is just pandemonium in this middle area.
Wow, yeah, it's just like you got Navy SEALs in here just hiding on the side of the yard. You got fights happening on the top and bottom right. Like, the name of the game is disruption here for 489, because right now they have all altars, man, and they need to really maintain that in order to kind of offset this arc. So we'll see how GT counters this and how 489 kind of sneaks this one away. 12 minutes left, Plato. It's gonna get close.
It is getting really close. Score now, we said is at 1.2k. Now it's at 600. It's getting smaller and smaller. The gap's getting smaller and smaller. 60 GT though, able to take back the Desert Altar. Sky Altar is under attack as well. So they are taking back their altars. They have controlled this arc. Not the worst play from 60 GT, as they have control of this 4k point arc and are now looking like they have control of their altars as well. Will this be enough, or will 489's provisioners actually make the difference between this arc being captured or not? Because I feel like the scores are going to be pretty even. 489 just took took the lead rather, but it's gonna be maybe like a 600 point to 1k advantage for 489. So there's gonna be 3k that can be made from this arc, or perhaps provisions. So this is gonna be coming down to the red line.
Yeah, and look at the amount of provisioners that 489 have right now compared to GTs.
Yeah.
They're going in on those provisions. I think there's at least 2, 10
4,
plus.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 perhaps? 12 provisioners?
That's a lot. So like, I
Yeah.
mean, right now, from a provisional standpoint, yeah, 2K, but 2.3K versus 667. So you might see a huge jump up in the last few minutes of this match from the 489 side in terms of provision. So we're gonna see these last 10 minutes are going to be very crucial for both sides teams. So these decisions got to be made now, because again, win or go home, Bottle. Win or go home.
Win or go home indeed, and we'll see who is winning and who is going home in about 10 minutes here. We have 489 in the lead right now at 700 points, but 4k in the bank in the middle of this murder ball of 60 GT. 489 not looking. Ooh, wait, they do have some troops that are going towards this this arc, but it's not too many. Looks like majority of the troops are trying to take back the Sky Altar of 60 GT. I will say 60 GT still have one skill that is question marks, one skill that has not been used throughout this match. I'm going to be curious as to what that skill is. But
Very curious. Master strategist?
I mean, it would be it.
You never know.
Master strategy is always an interesting play. I think they don't have any usage for Master Strategist if it is right now Master Strategist, so they might only use 5 out of the 6 skills this game. But perhaps it was to steal an arc, perhaps it's to steal a structures of some kind. You could see 60 GT now focusing on the structures. Everything has been flipped back. So the point bleeding of 60 GT should stop relatively soon. They are now down by about 1.7k. So up by 1.2, now down by 1.7. So about like a 3k-ish point swing in structures for 489. But that will not make up for the 4k that 60 GT got from the arc.
With the provisioners that we saw from the 489 side, that could be the determining factor, because they haven't turned anything in for the entire match, right? So like, we're gonna see a huge jump there. So really interested to see what the score is gonna be after GT turns his arc. There's not gonna be enough time for a second arc, everybody. And so like, it's really gonna come down to the provisions and how each of these teams can hold their structures to, again, delay as many points as they can. Because 489 did a really good job at keeping those structures and the point difference of occupation against GT.
There will be no 4th arc. It is going to be coming down to the occupations and the provisions. 60 GT starting to send out some provisioners, but I don't think that they won't generate too many points. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are sending a lot of marches out there now. But 489 sent their marches out perhaps 10 minutes ago. Like, they've been provisioning for a lot longer. The arc has been captured, so now you can see the true score. And it is only 60 GT's only up by 1.8k. That is provisionable, and they also only have one altar right now. So 489 looking really comfortable with it with 7 minutes to go in this match. What does 60 GT have to do to come back into this red line?
They have to even out the structures, even probably steal some structures from 49, but it's the provisions. Like right now, that's what's going to come down to, Plato. The game is so close. And again, I feel like both teams, they offset their strengths, right? So right now, GT had about 10.5k worth of arcs, 3 arcs, but there's a 10k difference in occupation between 49 and GT, with GT only having 6k versus the 27k 489. It's going to come down to provisioning, Plato, and trying to steal some of these structures, and we'll see who can do it. This is it. This is their chance in the last 7 minutes of the match to move forward in this tournament.
The Sky Altar flip is exactly what 60 GT have to do. They're flipping the Sky Altar, getting back their home Sky Altar. It won't start generating points until 2 minutes later. Desert Altar is under assault as well. They have to hold this Desert Altar if they want to continue to, continue to hold this point lead that they have. This Desert Altar getting very low, but the reinforcements are pouring in, Will 6GT be able to hold this? This might be for the game for them. If this doesn't alter flips, it'll be absolutely devastating, but it looks like they were able to hold. A lot of reinforcements coming in. The rally will be swarmed down here. So huge hold from 60GT, huge take back of the Sky Altar from 60GT, doing exactly what they need to do. But I don't know if this will be enough, Redline. Holding your own structures, taking back your own structures. You kind of have to be on the aggressive now. Take some of 489 structures.
I completely agree with you. They have to do that, and they have to do that now, because I feel like if GT maintains their current strategy of just defending, but again, at the end of the day, 489 is putting that pressure on them, right? They're kind of determining the momentum of the game, so we're gonna have to see.
Do you see 60GT's provisioners?
Compared to, oh my
2,
god,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Everyone's looking for a camel. Everybody is looking for a camel to visit, to get some of those caravans, to get some of those provisions, to get some of those points, because that's how close this game is. 60GT knows that it'll come down to provisions, knows that perhaps it's so hard to take these structures away from 489, knows that 489 is also going for provisions. So they're just, you know, countering the provisions with provisions, hoping and praying that their existing lead of 1k right now, plus the extra provisions that they just sent out 5 minutes to go, will be enough to counteract 489's provisions. Do you think that'll be enough? Do you think 489 will be able to win off provisioning, or did 60GT just save it with the provisioners they sent out right now?
I have no idea. Right now, I'm looking across the map, and you got someone 489 like literally sniping caravan marches from GT. And again, you know, if the chat didn't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Plato, if you're killed in the node, you lose all those points. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But if you're traveling, you still get them.
Yep. That's exactly how it works. So
he definitely do some hits right now, but if you look at the provisioning, you know, it's coming close. And I'm really interested to see how 489, how much they've gathered in these last 3.5 minutes. And we should see them coming in now, and we should see that true score coming in for both sides.
Redline, this is nerve-wracking. If you're a 60GT fan, if you're a 489 fan, if you're a fan of Ark of Osiris in general, this is going to be such a huge match. Win or go home. Will they be able to continue on? 60GT or 489 here?
And this is way too close. Way too close.
Oh my goodness. Sky Altar, it looks like that will be safe. Looks like Shrine of War under assault from 60GT. This might be a huge flip. Any structure, even the outpost, is going to be a huge flip at this point with how close this game is getting. 800 points separating these two teams. That is for sure provisionable. This is within the provision amount for sure.
This is all provisions, Plato. 2.5 minutes left. Gatherers are all right now scrambling to get into those camels. Ah, man, it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a very, very close one. Now, the one thing you don't want to be is that guy who didn't get their march back in time before the timer runs out. So hopefully there's some type of thing going on where everyone's screaming in your ear, get your marches home.
Yeah, we should start to see some of the farther provisioners start walking home. We're starting to see a lot of the 489 provisioners start their marches back. A lot of them have siege. So you have to keep in mind it's going to be a pretty slow march from these gatherers, with about 2 minutes 30 seconds to go here. Shrine of War was held. Looks like Shrine of Life will be held. 489 not looking as aggressive as they have been. With only 2 minutes to go, they're like, all right, let's just hold our structures, try to generate some points, and call it a day. You could see that Dust Up was used from 60GT. I actually think that was used so that the provisioners don't have as much line of sight. Dust Up actually taking away or creating more fog, taking away some line of sight, which actually makes it harder to gather. We'll have to see if that pays off. Look at the scores already. It is a 100 point lead for 60GT. The provisioners, farmers unite, because Rise of Farmings is how this Grand Prix is going to go down here. 1 minute 30 seconds to go, and everyone is not even looking at the structures. They're not even looking at the mid fights. They're looking at their gatherers, hoping, praying that they were able to visit enough caravans. They're able to schmooze enough traders to get enough points to get them over this edge.
Oh my god, this is getting insane. 1 minute 17 seconds left. Who is gonna take this? Who is gonna take this?
We could see that there are a lot of provisioners coming in from 489 in this bottom side. I never thought the last minute we'd be staring at provisioners. Let's see the point jump. Okay, a little bit of a lead. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Provisioners.
The provisions.
Coming clutch. Bring out your hoes, bring out your rakes, bring out your seeds, because it is the farmers that win the game for 489. 60GT, do they have any farmers on their side? They have some, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's enough, Plato.
I don't think it'll be enough. Most of the farmers from 60GT have come home, and it is the farming of 489 that have brought them over this edge of 60GT.
Wow.
10 seconds to go. About
Someone
a
better be bringing a heavy load.
2.5k difference. What a game from these two teams. The Grand Prix finals of last season coming down to farming this season in the lower brackets. But it is 489 that will advance and have a rematch against 27WP next week. And 60GT, unfortunately, are going home in the first round of the lower brackets. A disappointing result, but against 489, it was such a good game.
Great match, Plato. Great to see it. And again, like from what we saw, it just, you know, the provisioning at the end, we called it. That was going to be it. And we saw that huge surge. So GG's a 489, GG's a GT.
GG's indeed. And if you enjoyed this Osiris League content, be sure to subscribe to this channel, the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. We will have more Osiris League content to come next week, next Saturday and Sunday. As this tournament continues to progress, we'll see if 489 will continue their lower bracket run, and to see if the Chinese server will continue their dominance. If you enjoyed the cast, be sure to subscribe to my channel, Redline's channel, in the description. Redline, do you have any final notes for the viewers?
GG's everybody. Enjoy the next couple matches. It's going to be a great tournament.
And we'll catch you guys next time.